We're about to review a huge Monday Night Raw that took place with the final night of the WWE Draft now behind us. Becky Lynch is now an official part of Monday Night Raw. We get an awesome main event with Bianca Belair versus Charlotte Flair. Goldberg threatens to kill Bobby Lashley again. Randy Orton strikes AJ with an RKO, and so much more. Let's get everything started right now.
This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
This is my idol. You're going to acknowledge me.
Hey everybody, welcome to the WWE Podcast. This is the Monday Night Raw review for Tuesday, October 5th, 2021. As we speak, my New York Yankees are in a wild card game against the Red Sox, and I am now, instead of watching the game, talking to you guys, not just because I am too stressed out to watch the game, but frankly, I cannot watch a game that is not going my way. I'm a big baby like that, and currently, now of course, by the time you listen to this, we'll know the result. But as it stands right now, the Yankees are down 3-0 in the fourth inning. So, that said, it's better to be here in a therapeutic session with you guys to talk about pro wrestling in an environment that can be controlled, and I don't have to worry about being super stressed out. So, nonetheless, you could probably care less about baseball. Let's talk about pro wrestling. But before we do that, I want to give a shout out to our latest patron. And that patron, the patron's name is Minnesota Nice. So I'm assuming that's not your real name, but if it is, cool. If it's not, I'm assuming it's some kind of pseudonym for something. But Minnesota Nice, thank you so much for being a patron of the show and enjoying all of your ad-free content. So join Minnesota and everyone else over on Patreon if you want your ad-free experience. All right, let's get to it, guys. Boy, oh boy, what a Monday Night Raw. I mean, I bet you WWE Creative wishes they can have this roster every single Monday night. The 3 hours doesn't go so slowly, does it? When they have both brands of both rosters on the show, certainly helps out the pacing of the show, doesn't it? It helps out on every level. And again, even for a 3-hour show, it certainly didn't feel like 3 hours. I mean, admittedly, I watch Hulu, but even the Hulu version flew by. So I've been, by extension, taking that to the 3-hour format. It probably did feel a little bit less of a marathon on Monday night, but we got a lot to talk about with Becky Lynch being the first overall pick coming to Monday Night Raw. She opened the show as Smackdown Women's Champion, and again, they keep telling us that the rosters don't go into effect until October 22nd. Yet people are showing up on every show now, and I can guarantee you over the next 3 weeks, there will still be crossover with no explanation, and they'll keep telling us it's October 22nd, to which I would say, why bother if both brands are here? Both rosters on both brands are here from now through the Crown Jewel pay-per-view. Last time I spoke with you guys on the weekend review, I said, I'm done. This kind of stuff, I'm chalking it up to just them wanting a better show and better ratings. I understand that at the sacrifice of just abiding by their own damn rules for a draft. But I'm going to wipe the slate clean after Crown Jewel, and at that point, I will say, okay, let's keep the rosters split, and we'll see how many weeks they can do that for. I'm guessing the over-under is about 4 weeks before you see somebody show up that shouldn't be there. So, anyway, Becky Lynch was the overall number one pick to Monday Night Raw and the second night of the draft. She then proceeded to say maybe she'll become Becky Two Belts again. Charlotte comes out, and Charlotte and Becky have a bit of an exchange. And then, of course, we get a third party in Bianca Belair, who's wondering why she was ignored. And Lynch suggested a match between Belair and Flair as the main event. And it's interesting they didn't go with Becky Charlotte. I think that WWE is acknowledging that Becky and Charlotte have maybe overstayed their welcome in terms of the rivalry. And even though it's been nearly, a year and a half, 2 years since we've seen a Becky Lynch-Charlotte match, I think they believe it's kind of like Randy Orton, John Cena, where they've quote-unquote seen enough of that. at least in the short term. That doesn't mean that maybe come WrestleMania time, these two can't be involved once again, and I would not be surprised. So Becky ends up suggesting that those two have a match for later in the show, and it quickly became official. That's their new tagline. That of Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville. Everything has to become official. Is that their tagline, where the authority was best for business and everybody has to have their cute little tagline? I guess make it official is what the purpose of that phrase is, I guess. So I have to say, and I'm going to jump right to the main event here. Charlotte Flair versus Bianca Belair was really good. I mean, it was a pay-per-view quality main event, especially towards the end, the back and forth, the athleticism between those two, who are both ultra athletic. I mean, you have Bianca, who is probably a little bit stronger, but Charlotte Flair has the stature, she has the name, she has the posturing. She gets, I think, a little more in-ring psychology than does Bianca, who I think relies a lot more on the athleticism part of telling a story rather than Charlotte's nuances that she does in the ring. So I think Charlotte, in that respect, brings the sense of being that veteran in the ring. And she is at this point, let's be honest. And where Bianca is just ultra athletic. And it was just an awesome main event. I know it was spoiled by Becky Lynch getting involved, but did you really expect anything else? Becky on commentary was fun. I mean, you knew what she was out there for, eventually to interfere, which caused a disqualification. Bianca Belair defeated Charlotte because Bianca Belair was attacked by Becky Lynch, therefore giving her the DQ win. But they didn't want, the creative, that is, and Vince didn't want to give the audience a decisive winner. They didn't want to make someone in the eyes of the fans appear higher than the other by even a roll-up victory. At this point, they just are going for DQ finishes because they're trying to keep all three women looking like they're on the same plane, and nobody wants to have any damage done to them. So that's the chicken, way out. And I know that many fans were disappointed by that, but that leads you to believe there's going to be another match. And there should be another match between Bianca and Flair. That was just a really awesome main event. And one thing I'll say about Becky on commentary, getting back to it, she's fun on commentary. She's good at ad-libbing. She stumbles over her words once in a while. She stutters once in a while. So do I. You guys listen to this show. So I shouldn't be one to talk. But that said, the announce team talked way too much to Becky, like ignoring an awesome main event. And a few times, I think it was, I'm not sure if it was Corey Graves or whatnot. Somebody had just tried to maybe it was Byron Saxton, who was bringing the attention back to the ring and saying, hey guys, we have a great main event going on here. And then the attention would be brought back for about 10 seconds to the match. And then it's right back to asking Becky Lynch questions and Becky rambling. And again, she's not bad on the mic. That's not the problem. It's just, why are we ignoring a potentially, like, you could even argue, WrestleMania main event? Why not? It was Sasha and Bianca for night one of WrestleMania, arguably the best match of the entire pay-per-view. Why are we ignoring a potentially main event worthy matchup here for talking to Becky Lynch? It was just very distracting, as entertaining as Becky can be. I think it was a little bit disrespectful, and I think it took a little bit away from the match, which was otherwise a really, really good match. So maybe you guys thought differently. I just thought it was a little too much. I understand that the person on commentary is there to add a little extra flavor, and there's no script, and it's sometimes fun to listen to, and it gets the heel or babyface over a little more. I understand that. That's the purpose, but they went a little too far, I think. So that's that aside. I think it went very well. And I'm looking forward to the triple threat that's going to happen at Crown Jewel on Thursday. Yeah, I know. Still bizarre to me. Thursday, October 21st. It's going to be Banks versus Belair versus Lynch. And it's going to be, I think, it could be the match of the night. I mean, just think about where we were with the women and just 5-6 years ago, where we were at the women, how they were perceived, what the championship meant. And you fast forward to today, and they're main eventing Raw regularly. They main eventing pay-per-views. No one even blinks twice now. They have their own Queen of the Ring, and whatever their tournament's called now. They have their own they have had Hell in a Cell matches. They've had Money in the Bank ladder matches. They main evented WrestleMania. They have their own tag team championships. They have done, WWE has done, I think, a overall good job of the women's division. Now, not to say there hasn't been bumps and setbacks and regressions, especially after Ronda left. It felt like, the women's division was a little bit left out to die. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but Ronda Rousey, as much as I really, really don't like her, even as like a human being, I don't like her. Maybe that's the point. It felt like when she left, they were scrambling of what to do. And then the pandemic hit, and there were some really, really bad segments. Like, remember the karaoke segment with, I think it was Naomi and Jey Uso, and that was a throwback to the Divas era. It was terrible. But they overall, over the past 5 to 7 years, have done a very nice job of pushing the women and trying to equalize them with the men. And in a lot of cases, I think the women have outperformed the men. I mean, again, case in point, this past Monday, last night. So I would love to see Bianca versus Charlotte again. I would love to see it on a pay-per-view. I'd love to give them 20 minutes. Their athleticism and their chemistry, everything. And Bianca, man, you talk about one of the best NXT call-ups of all time. Bianca is certainly at the top of that list in my mind, because you look at some of the failed NXT call-ups on the men's side, especially. I don't think there's anybody, including Kevin Owens, who exceeds what Bianca has done, and really succeeded sustainably for this period of time, since she's got called up. That's a testament to Bianca Belair, first and foremost. Yes, creative. Yes, Vince does have to be credited. But the NXT call-ups, as we all know, don't always work out. So very, very well done all the way around. And I think we've got a lot to look forward to in the women's division. We're going to get to the draft and the picks and my thoughts on some of the picks in just a few minutes too. But I want to shift gears to Austin Theory and Jeff Hardy. I like this. I really liked it. Number one, Jeff Hardy getting another United States Championship match. How? Why? Outside of the name of Jeff Hardy, what has he done to earn that championship match? Tell me. What has he done? Again, I'm a Jeff Hardy fan. Great guy. Legacy star. Hall of Famer. Check, check, check. Certainly. There's nothing left to prove for Jeff. But what exactly has he done as of late? You can't rely on your resume. You got to rely on what have you done for me lately? Because that's how championship matches are awarded, not just looking at the resume going, well, look, says here back in 2019 that you were tag team champions with your brother. Let's, you know what, Jeff, in your former world champion, let's give you an opportunity. No, we're told that it's supposed to be contenders matches. We're told that there's momentum, right? The all-important momentum of, well, if they win this match, that maybe they can start to build some momentum of being in the conversation for a championship match. Well, Jeff Hardy has won exactly 0 matches in the last 6 months. How exactly has he earned it? And multiple United States Championship matches. So somebody explain to me how he's earned it. I understand there's resume and his career speak for itself, but you can't rely on the past to give you the present. So nonetheless, I had no problem with the match, just from a logical perspective of them telling us all the time there's contenders matches and you got to earn it. And there's, everything's about momentum. Anyway, so Jeff Hardy ends up losing after hitting a Swanton bomb on Damian Priest. He kicks out and then somehow was no-selling the thing and rolled up Jeff Hardy, because we got to get the roll-up for the night. They fulfilled their quota there. And again, I wasn't a big fan of the finish, because it was like we had a no-sell basically from Damian Priest. I know a lot of people, look, let me just say this before we get to Austin Theory. I know a lot of people are high on Damian Priest. I know. He's got a nice delivery. He's got a very deep bass alpha male voice. He's got the right height. He's got a marketable look. He's decent in the ring. I wouldn't say he's great in the ring. I'd say he's decent. And I don't connect with him. I feel like he's too gimmicky. He's too relying on his archer stance, like he's shooting an arrow. I think he's the character, the presentation, how I view it at home. I'm thinking as a fan. So how exactly am I supposed to relate to this guy? Why should I care if he wins or loses? Because he stands there with some cool graphics, like fires coming across my screen, and he's shooting an arrow. Is that why I'm supposed to care? Somebody give me something outside of he looks cool and he's got great, CGI in his entrance. Somebody outside of a stance. What's the substance? What's the meat of it? Why? And they don't give us that because they don't give him a whole lot of time to talk. The character development on Damian Priest has not been good. So I'm all about that. I know a lot of people aren't. It's fine. I am. So I'm not a big Damian Priest character fan. I actually want to see him get his ass kicked. I see Damian Priest and the way that he presents himself. I'm not a Damian Priest supporter. Like I wouldn't go to a show and cheer for him. Why should I? Right? There's so much stuff about him, but nonetheless, let's get to Austin Theory, who comes out after Jeff was being interviewed about this loss, and Jeff just panders to the crowd like he does because he's basically on the longest farewell tour of all time. It's what it feels like anyway. And then Austin Theory comes out with kind of a new look with his hair and his facial hair, and acts like a fanboy and says how much he respects Jeff Hardy and he wants a selfie. The announcers are just berating him about that, and I think even we had Corey Graves call him green, and then he gets a selfie and immediately turns on Jeff, and I like that. I really did. I thought that was well done. Austin Theory felt very confident. He felt like he belonged right away. Getting a selfie with Jeff while he's on the mat was kind of funny and also heat-inducing. I thought it was dumb. I thought it was well done, is what I meant to say. I really do. I know it was short. It was sweet to the point. Maybe that's why I also liked it. It wasn't too hard to figure out. I don't want to have to try to decode a Rubik's Cube while I'm watching wrestling to figure out what the hell's going on. I don't think any of us do. So I like that. The other part I liked was that Jeff hinted at a new character coming. That was cool. People are speculating it could be Brother Nero. If you've watched Impact, or if you haven't, go watch the different personalities of Jeff Hardy, right? So Matt Hardy had Broken Matt Hardy, which was one of the hottest things in Impact TNA at the time for a long time. And it created a lot of buzz around the internet. And obviously Jeff Hardy was involved in that too. So go check it out. I think that that's what they could be teasing as the farewell Jeff Hardy tour continues. I'm a Jeff Hardy fan, but guys, let's be honest. This is probably his last run. And that's cool. I want to see something different before he goes too, outside of the charismatic enigma, whatever the hell that means. Dissect that phrase. And actually, as I look it up, because I know somebody's gonna and say, well, actually, an enigma is this. So on dictionary.com, here are the definitions for enigma. So a person of puzzling or contradictory character. That's not Jeff. Jeff's not very puzzling, nor is he contradictory. He's very easy to understand. He has face paint that make him look like he has his eyes open when he closes his eyes. That's not exactly puzzling, nor is his in-ring style. He goes for the twist of fate, and then he goes for the Swanton Bomb. His promos are never really deep. There's nothing that they have presented to us that is puzzling or contradictory of his character. Okay, so there goes that out the window. A puzzling or inexplicable occurrence or a situation. Nope. A saying, question, picture containing a hidden message or riddle. Nope. So he is not an enigma. It's a cool word to say, and maybe that's why I think they just rely on the ambiguous definition of enigma, where he's just this crazy puzzling guy. Nope. Jeff Hardy's extremely easy to figure out. So maybe we'll get the actual enigma of Jeff Hardy, Brother Nero, in the future when he's after Crown Jewel. That's what it seems like. So I enjoyed that segment overall, as much as I just dissected it, because that's what I do to ruin things for you guys. I did enjoy it from really all ends. So, okay, let's continue on here. What else happened? And we'll get to the draft. Well, I promise. Shayna Baszler defeated Dana Brooke via submission with an armbar. After the match, Basil continued to attack Brooke's arm before attempting to stop her elbow, as she has for weeks, before Doudrop ran in and made the save. So I did catch highlights of this. I was, I was actually hoping to see her snap another arm. I like Doudrop. I still think that her name is going to hinder her moving forward. Why she can't just create her own identity, and why she's keeping the one that Eva Marie assigned to her several months ago doesn't make sense, right? If you're going to stand up for yourself, and she should say, I'm dropping this name. This is who I really am. Your real name is not Doudrop. Let's be real. So I think Doudrop is going to, in the long haul, hinder her development and how people perceive her, which I think is actually a little bit disrespectful, because think of the shape of a dewdrop. Like a dewdrop on a blade of grass. Like zoom really far into that dewdrop. We know the shape, and I think it's very, very indicative of her body type, or at least that's the implication. They would deny it. They'd deny it, but we know damn well otherwise. So anyway, Shayna Baszler was trying to snap Brooke's arm, which unfortunately was interrupted by Doudrop. So Doudrop and Shayna Baszler look to be on a collision course. Angel Garza and Alberto Carrillo defeat Mansoor and Mustafa Ali via pinfall after Garza pinned Ali. Again, I'll say this. Mansoor, don't worry. Your superpowers will be coming in 2.5 weeks, rather. Your superpower, your invincibility power up, your finisher will be coming in just a couple of weeks, because Lord knows Mansoor does not lose or look like a fool in Saudi Arabia, as he is the hometown hero. He's the hometown boy, and they will not be making him look like a fool. So enjoy the Mansoor that we have now, if you do, because superhero Mansoor is coming. But Angel Garza and Alberto Carrillo, I like their look. I like them together. I enjoy that. I like that they're actually getting victories here, getting a little bit of the all-important momentum that only means something when it needs to, otherwise it doesn't. And that's fine. You know, Angel Garza and Alberto should be in the tag team championship conversation in the near future. All right, let's see here. What other things were not on Hulu? The Women's Tag Team Championship. Here we go with another championship. So far, guys, 2 championship matches on Monday Night Raw, of which I am fairly sure they didn't announce either. So now not are they only doing this on a weekly basis, but they're not even announcing it and just doing it. Does it get any more disrespectful to the championships themselves by not announcing it and doing it weekly? The answer is probably, and they'll find a way. Nikki ASH and Rhea Ripley defeat Natalya and Tamina via pinfall to retain the tag titles after hitting Tamina with an assisted splash. So, fine. I did see highlights of this too. I did not see the whole thing, which, from what I understand, the highlights are about as long as the match. But it was, from what I saw, it was fine. Nikki and Rhea seemed to have a chemistry, a bit of the RK Bro chemistry going on. And them being tag team champions is totally fine with me. I know a lot of people are, especially with Rhea, they feel like Rhea doesn't belong there, where she should be in a singles role. I disagree. I really do. I don't think Rhea is ready for the singles role that we want her to be in. Now, she could easily go on her own and do okay. She's capable of that. But the Rhea that we want to see, that's confident, that creative, this is the most important thing, that WWE creative has a plan for her, not just flip-flopping her from face to heel to face and back and forth. We go like a ping pong, which is what they did after she won the women's championship at WrestleMania this year. They didn't know what in the F to do with her. So the crowd goes, you know what? I don't know whether to boo or cheer her anymore, so we're just not going to do anything. That is the most damaging thing you can do. So number one, first and foremost, creative needs to figure out what the hell to do with her. The second piece is Rhea probably does need a little bit of time to recalibrate and reset herself and just take some time in the tag team scene, enjoy herself, gain some more confidence, and continue to hone her craft. I think that's what she needs to do, and it's good time away, especially for the fans to keep her out of the title picture right now. So I'm fine with that. Nikki can continue to have her terrible gimmick. At least it's not even on Hulu anymore, so that's a good thing. I don't have to bear that just torture every week of Nikki on my screen. Okay, let's move on to something a little bit higher up in the ranking of what happened on Raw. Let's see. Randy Orton and Omos. Well, that was supposed to be a match between Randy and Omos. At least Randy challenged Omos. And Omos never answered the call until Randy and Riddle were out in the ring. And we get AJ coming out, running his mouth with Omos, who's seething and cussing, presumably, at Randy walking down to the ring. And they continue to run their mouth even more with Riddle and Randy. And a fight ensues. And we never get Omos versus Randy, but we do get an RKO on AJ Styles. And Omos, again, stands tall. Nobody ends up taking him down, but Riddle and Randy end up walking back to the backstage area with Omos seething, AJ down, and apparently, according to Corey Graves, this was a well set trap. What trap? You're trying to get Omos. You're not trying to get AJ. So I don't know what trap they're setting. I wanted to see Omos versus Randy. Why didn't we get it? I want to see that. To me, this was as cool as it is to see the RKO. It's always fun. Never gets old. But I do want to see Randy versus Omos. Please. I mean, to me, it was a downgrade. But maybe they feel Omos isn't ready for that stage with that caliber of opponent. I don't know what else the reason is, but I would have loved to have seen it. So, moving on. Bobby Lashley agreed to give Goldberg a match at Crown Jewel. Goldberg comes to the ring. Again, he claims Lashley attacked Gage, and that he said that it's not a misunderstanding, as Bobby said it was, but it was an intentional act. Again, why are we ignoring the fact that Gage attacked Bobby from behind? You don't know who it is. And furthermore, you don't know what they're capable of. Just because he's a much younger guy doesn't mean that he still can't do damage by attacking somebody from behind. And then when he realizes it's his son, it's like, well, you're the idiot that did this, right? You're the fool for coming into the ring. So Bobby it did say that towards the end of this promo, where he said, what would you have done, Goldberg, if someone attacked you from behind? And then the Hurt Business proceed to attack Goldberg. Now, a couple of things here. Bobby's there's a few things I want to say. Number one, Bobby on his own without MVP is doing better than I thought he would be in terms of promo. I mean, we're all concerned that he can't cut promos, just like without Paul Heyman. Can we be concerned that Brock can't cut promos? And it forces them to think on their feet a little, and we get to see what the ability is really like. We get to test the temperature of what it actually is like without their mouthpieces. And right now, I think we have, without MVP, Bobby doing pretty well. You know, when most people expected to have him kind of flop, he's doing pretty well. And so that's number one. Number two, what the hell is the Hurt Business doing? Yeah, I gave WWE 1 week to explain with any reason. Give me anything. Why the Hurt Business is back together. And did they come through? The answer is no. This is such an embodiment of what is wrong with creative as a whole. Not just, and really maybe Vince, not just a once in a while they miss something. No. Why is this group back together? Who orchestrated it? Why are we not talking to Shelton and Cedric saying, hey, but what made you have a change of heart? You know, considering that you were the ones who were exiled from the group. You didn't choose to leave, and now you're back. You got your ass kicked by Bobby and were forced out. And all of a sudden you're back and Bobby's accepting of it, and we're not going to ask questions as to how this happened again. What the hell is going on? I have no problem with the Hurt Business being back together, but the WWE creative and Vince don't even have the decency or respect for the audience to explain why. It can be anything. Even if it's a garbage excuse and completely implausible, at least they went to just 5 seconds during their creative production meetings and giving us something. That, to me, it's a total lack of respect, and how it's a representation of how they view wrestling fans in terms of their level of intelligence. I think they feel that we aren't even going to question it. No. What the hell? This is ridiculous. So whatever. That's one part. The other part is beyond Gage attacking Bobby Lashley from behind, which everyone's just brushing off as it doesn't matter. Beyond Bobby's decent promo skills that he's showing us, beyond the fact that we have no explanation why the Hurt Business is back together. The last thing I want to talk about is Goldberg and his promo. Goldberg's okay on the mic too. He's okay when he wants to be. He's never been a great promo guy, nor would I expect him to suddenly pull a great promo out of his backside. So he's fine with promos. He's intense. We all know the deal. The guy's in better shape than most human beings on earth, probably in the top 0.001% of men his age. So credit to him for that. But why are we talking about Bobby Lashley being killed here? You don't go there. I said it when I talked about this when Bobby Lashley and Goldberg had their initial match, and then the Monday Night Raw after, Goldberg's talking about killing him. He's coming for his soul. And then we get a few weeks later, Goldberg sits down with an interview and says if he gets lucky enough to kill Bobby Lashley, now we're on this kill narrative. What? No, you don't bring death, politics, or religion into pro wrestling. It's one of the cardinal rules. You just don't do it. You don't do it. I mean, you can bring death in if it's obviously if it's death of one of the performers. I mean, we've seen many tribute shows. I'm talking storyline. You don't do it. You're backing yourself into a corner with the execution of it. No pun intended. You really are, because what are you going to do at the pay-per-view? You're going to have Goldberg in this no holds barred match at Crown Jewel. What? Pull out a knife and try to cut him? I mean, we all know, and maybe that's the thought is that, well, fans know he's actually not going to kill him. It's just a metaphor. Yeah, but this is now the second time in a row that we've seen or heard Goldberg talking about killing Bobby Lashley. He's going to leave him for dead. This is just ridiculous. Are we supposed to be... Is that the crutch for this match? Is that the crutch? Is that the hook that we're supposed to be excited by? Goldberg actually is going to try to kill Bobby Lashley for doing what he did to his son? Is that because they know that this matchup is... The last time they met was just a absolute disaster of a match because Goldberg is super limited in the ring? Are they going with... if we don't make it extreme, the fans will just be distracted by the last match. And then maybe if we make it no holds barred, that adds another element to the match because they know Goldberg can't have a good match. So, I mean, it's just preposterous. So it's very shocking when they bring in death and you're actually threatening to kill somebody. You just don't do it. I mean, it's wrestling 101. Even the most basic casual fans know this. It's I don't know. And I know that WWE Creative would say to me, you're taking it too literally. No, he's saying it literally. He's saying he wants to leave him for dead. He said it multiple times, not in a joking, passive way, in a definitive way. So, you know what? I hope Bobby Lashley destroys Gage in front of his dad and ends Goldberg's career at Crown Jewel, while he's giving his son the hurt lock in front of him. And while his dad is laying there with both knees blown out, we have Gage laying there with, just passed out in front of his dad. Yeah, I'm going morbid. They want to go morbid, I'll go morbid. That's what I want. I wouldn't blink. I would think that's freaking awesome. And I don't mean knees actually blown out. I mean, like, this is truly the end of his last match. In storyline, he blows out both knees. I'm not actually advocating for him to blow out his ACL. Let's calm it down. But all right, let's move on here. I did enjoy Raw overall. I really did. But okay, what else happened? We got the New Day defeating the Hurt Business via pinfall when Xavier Woods pinned Shelton after a rope walk elbow drop. Whatever. I mean, we don't even know why they're back together. And the New Day getting a victory over the Hurt Business feels like it should be bigger than it is because the Hurt Business versus the New Day should feel bigger, yet it's not even on Hulu in a short match. So, all right, moving on. Big E and Drew McIntyre defeat Robert Roode, or Big Bob. Was that the nickname? And the Dirty Dog, Dolph Ziggler, via pinfall. And this was an interesting segment because Big E came out, and I think he did a nice job with his promo. He actually showed a little bit of seriousness instead of the wacky gyrating, tongue out, hip swiveling, nonsensical, sophomoric garbage that he does at times, and continues to still do. But he cut a halfway decent promo that didn't make you roll your eyes and feel embarrassed. It felt like he was truly a champion for a quick minute. And Drew McIntyre came out after Big E asked him to. And the theme of this was all about respect. Because we had Drew come out, and he was nothing but complimentary of Big E. He was just very human about it. He didn't try to be a wrestling character. He was just Drew McIntyre, being Drew McIntyre, being himself. And I believe his compliments to Big E were sincere. I really do. That's how they came across anyway. And the message here was that they want to try to keep Drew babyface, I guess, by being respectful. I mean, this is the most, I guess, upstanding way to do this match. Nobody's being underhanded. There's no shenanigans going on. Nobody's insulting one another. It's just babyface versus babyface, and they don't want to turn either heel. So you do this in the most respectful, gentlemanly way that you can. And that's what they're doing with Drew, because I feel like they're walking a tightrope here, because they know that fans remember how much Drew was involved in the championship picture. They know fans were completely burned out of it. And now that he's back in it just after a few months, it still feels a little too soon. It still does. I feel like he should not be involved until sometime next year, because fans they also don't want to see Big E lose the championship, because they're just getting started. They're just getting started to see what Big E's championship run's about. It's too early to cut it short. So I don't think that Drew's in a good spot with fan reactions. So they're trying to come up with a really good main event, one of the main events for Crown Jewel, but also trying to balance the crowd reaction for Drew by being the most upstanding, respectful challenge that he could issue to Big E. So I understand what they're doing here, and it's the same thing I would do if I was put in this position. I think it's the only thing you can do if you're going to have this match, but it still feels too soon for Drew. It just does. I'm not ready for it. I'm ready for a Drew personal issue to continue with somebody and then eventually lead to Roman versus Drew, maybe at WrestleMania. So anyway, this match is happening. I did enjoy, though, Dolph Ziggler, who reminds you that he can actually cut a good promo. Yeah, he has the screaming promo syndrome. I understand that. But he does have good substance to his promos, and bringing up the past about Big E and where he started back in 2013 as Big E Langston, and also with Drew McIntyre upon his return in 2018 as kind of the muscle for Dolph Ziggler. It was fun to watch that. It reminds you of where they came from, or at least when they came to WWE, what they did. And the one thing I'll say is I thought about this comeback to Bobby, Mr. Big Bob, when he was calling himself Big Bob, saying that he is twice the friend and twice the tag team partner to Dolph Ziggler than either of you were. To me, the best line back to that would be, "But you're half the man that I am," right? I mean, tell me that's not a good, nice little witty comeback where he says, "I'm twice the man," or "I'm twice the friend that you were to Dolph," and then Drew or Bobby, or either Drew or Big E says, "But you're half the man," right? I don't know. I thought about that. I'm like, go me. But wasn't said. It's no big deal, but I did enjoy that. And Dolph reminding you that he's not just the dirty dog, but he actually can cut a good promo. He's a good seller. He's a good worker. We all know this. It's the same old from Dolph Ziggler, but he reminds you that he has a touch of greatness every once in a while. And then it just gets shoved back into the dirty dogs and doing silly stuff backstage and losing matches. That's just the complete look at Dolph's career. That's how Dolph has operated, at least how he's been presented by WWE. But this match was good. It was really good. And McIntyre hit the Claymore on Ziggler for the win after tagging himself in when Big E was just about to deliver the big ending. All right, so what else happened? I think I'm getting to the end of, again, draft is coming, the picks and my thoughts are coming, but I feel like I'm missing something. Maybe not. Maybe that was it. Of course, at the end of the show, as I mentioned, I already talked about the great main event with Charlotte and Bianca, but the whole after Becky attacks everybody and and then Sasha comes out. How many times did they say an emphatic statement made by Sasha Banks, who came out and did her backstabbing bit? And so anyway, it's just a rotation of language that must be used, right? It's just this. They must have some kind of sheet in front of them, like some kind of clipboard, and it says, per Vince McMahon, you need to say the following phrases X amount of times per show, and it's got like the word message, it's got the word statement, it's got these just cliche corporate phrases that they need to say every single time that they're on the air. I don't know. They need to, maybe, you know what I should do? I'll just find the addresses of Corey Graves, Byron Saxton, and just mail them a thesaurus for Christmas. Right? Or mail the creative team a thesaurus. There are other words you can use. And the English language is pretty expansive. Maybe that's what it is. Just like find a synonym. There are other words. My God. Impact. There's one. Right? Okay. My God. All right. So let's get to the actual draft. Let's get to the results of the draft. So, as we said, and we all knew, Becky was the number one pick. Number two, the Usos to SmackDown. They went to SmackDown, and cool. I would not want to see the Usos come to Raw. They belong with Roman, and it is helping that great storyline continue. So, good job there. And Paul Heyman breathed a sigh of relief. But also, at the same time, as he thought he was back into the good graces, the interviewer, I'm terrible with names. I don't remember his name, but he also asked, is this also how you secured the free agency of Brock Lesnar? And then the Usos were reminded of that and looked at Paul and were just disgusted by him or frustrated, angry with him again. And so that'll be brought up again, I'm sure, on SmackDown. Bobby Lashley drafted to Raw. Good move there. I know that we want to see Bobby versus Roman maybe at some point. Some people have talked about that. The problem is they're both heels right now, so I don't think there's much interest in terms of Vince being interested in that. And Brock Lesnar can float between other brands, so that's really no harm, no foul there. Sasha Banks is drafted to SmackDown. Nice. I like that. I think that's a nice little, a big pickup for SmackDown for the women's division. So you have now Charlotte on SmackDown, Becky to Raw. They will inevitably switch championships so that Charlotte will be the SmackDown Women's Champion. Becky will be the Raw Women's Champion. I also like one thing about Becky, how she pointed out that she has been champion essentially since WrestleMania 35. Like she hasn't actually lost her belt. That's a nice thing that she's been brought up. And she said no one's talking about it, but it's true. Because WrestleMania 35 feels like it was 20 years ago, doesn't it? That's probably why. But it's a nice thing for her to bring up and continue to bring up, especially as a heel. That's the one good thing out of that commentary. So let's continue on to Seth going to Raw. So Becky and Seth on the same show. That's probably by design as they're married and they have enough swag and respect in the company that they did it because they're married, right? I mean, that would have been, I think, a really kind of D-bag move to have them on separate brands, traveling to separate cities, 6 nights a week. But Seth on Raw is a good thing. He was even interviewed, and he's the what's his nickname? The something of Drip. It reminded me of Johnny Nitro or John Morrison. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, can we find a new nickname? The Visionary of Drip. That's what it is, right? What does that mean? It's too close. It's too close to John Morrison. I don't need a John Morrison part 2. And whatever happened to Miz and John Morrison anyway? As far as their program went, that just went completely under the rug. Like, let's forget we ever did this. I don't know. I'm sure it'll be brought back up, but so Seth comments about it and says he's doing the best work of his career essentially. And then somebody brings up, someone else that was drafted to Raw, and obviously the announcer was referring to Edge, but Rollins said he'll take care of that on SmackDown. So Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs drafted to SmackDown. Damian Priest drafted to Raw. Sheamus drafted to SmackDown. AJ Styles and Omos to Raw. Shayna Baszler going to SmackDown. That's, I think, a really good fit for Shayna, who needs new opponents, needs a new environment. Just get the hell off of Raw. I feel like Shayna she'll fit nicely on SmackDown. I'll say that. It's a new, fresh set of opponents for her. Kevin Owens going to Raw. Xia Li to SmackDown. The Street Profits to Raw. The Viking Raiders to SmackDown. Finn Balor goes to Raw. Now, let me ask you this. I'm going in order, by the way. How the hell are the Viking Raiders chosen before Finn Balor? Does anybody have an explanation for that? The guy that just main evented your last pay-per-view with Roman Reigns? Yeah, that guy. Remember him? How is he not in the first or second round? How? That made no sense. Whatever. But the Viking Raiders are on SmackDown. Ricochet on SmackDown. Karrion Kross on Raw. Alberto Correa and Angel Garza go to SmackDown. Alexa Bliss goes to Raw. Cesaro goes to SmackDown. Carmella, to Corey Graves' delight, goes to Raw. Rogers Holland goes to SmackDown. Admittedly, I don't know a whole lot about this guy. Gable Steveson, not Stevenson, but Steveson, goes to Raw, the Olympian. And Sami Zayn goes to SmackDown in the final pick of the 2021 WWE Draft. Gable Steveson is an interesting dude. They had footage of him at home, excited that he's been drafted. But I really don't know a whole lot about this guy other than he's a former Olympian. And obviously that is an amazing achievement in and of itself, being an Olympian. You talk about dedication to your craft. That's a lifetime 24/7 dedication to your craft. That's not anything to sneeze at. So I'll be very interested to see how he progresses on Raw. I mean, if he was drafted to Raw, that tells you that he's already ready to come up. I mean, I would have figured maybe it would have taken him another year or so in the Performance Center, but maybe, again, I'm not privy to when he actually started training. So that certainly is something that does affect his ability to come to Raw and just all of a sudden perform. But Gable Steveson, good look, big dude, great athlete. It's what WWE wants. So good stuff there. All right, let's look at the Raw ratings the last 5 weeks. If you're interested in such things, August 30th, it was 1.9 million. The next week, 1.8, then 1.6, then 1.79, and then 1.7. So the Raw ratings, as far as I'm concerned, I understand, are not out for the draft yet. It'll be interesting to see if the draft did spike a rating. I would assume it did, maybe even over 2 million. But WWE Raw has not cracked 2 million in a little while. So I'm sure the draft helped. As really, they had everyone on hand. They had everyone on hand. There was nobody that was exempt from being on Raw or SmackDown. So they had it's basically like they had a super show for a couple of shows. And I'm sure, like I said, from now through Crown Jewel, they're going to have, inexplicably, just everyone there just because, even though it doesn't take effect till October 22nd, everyone's just going to be there with, no one even cares. It's just, that's the way it is. They make a better show. You watch. So, all right. So I think that's it, guys. I'm sure there's maybe one or two things I skipped or missed, and I apologize if I did. But if you guys like the show, please give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. It does seriously help us out in the rankings. Also, if you are interested, please write us a review. And if you want to support us in other ways, head on over to Patreon. You don't want the ads. Tired of them, tired of skipping through them, sighing because there's another one, rolling your eyes because, oh my God, another ad. Easy to solve. Patreon, or go to Apple Podcasts and get a 3 free day trial. See what it's like for 3 full days of no ads. Go through every show you want. You can download them even and get everything ad free. You can download every show we have free, ad free for 3 days if you really want to, and buck the system. I'm not telling you to, but if not, then after 3 days, it's only $2.99 a month for every show we do ad free. Not bad on Apple Podcasts. You just go to our page and click the ad free button and you're in. So thank you, everybody. Continue to support our hosts, our co-hosts, other podcasts. That is Football Function, hosted by Michael Ritter. We're right into the football season now, guys. We are right in the heart of it. Things are starting to ramp up. We're into October now. Football Function, and also Random Wrestling that Zach Smith does that covers other podcasts or other wrestling topics that are not on our feed. So Random Wrestling and Football Function, go ahead and subscribe to those and support our co-hosts in their other future endeavors. No, I did not just fire them, but you know what I mean. All right, let's head out, guys. Tomorrow I'll be back with your mailbag. So if you want your questions answered, you want to rant, you just want to comment, please do so. Real WWE Podcast at gmail.com, or leave a voicemail, 518-952-0247. That is the number for the voicemail if you so choose to call in and leave one. Until then, guys, thanks so much for listening. I'll talk to you next time.